1770, on the eve of the American War of Independence, Pitt the Elder, Earl of Chatham, returns to the House of Lords.
My lords, in a just and necessary war, to maintain the rights and honor of my country, I would strip the shirt from my back to support it. But in a war against the British colonists in America, unjust in its principle, impracticable in its means, and ruinous in its consequences, I would not contribute a single effort or a single farthing. For we now seek to wage war against our brethren and our countrymen in America of the same language, the same laws, the same liberties, the same religion, endeared to us by every tie that sanctifies humanity. My lords, I venture to say it, your efforts will be forever vain and impotent. You cannot conquer America. Were I an American, as I am an Englishman, while a foreign troop was landed in my country, I would not lay down my arms. Never, never, never.
William, this is your birthday. I take wine with you. You heard me speak this afternoon?
Yes, sir.
Did I meet with your approval?
Yes, indeed, sir.
It's very gratifying, William, very gratifying. William, what is my name?
The Earl of Chatham, sir.
No, William. That's but a cloak to cover my old age. My name is your name, William Pitt, and I bequeath it to you. As my second son, you will go into the House of Commons as I did before you.
Yes, sir.
There was a time when I bore the proudest title a man ever had. It was given to me by no king, nor did I kneel for it before any prince or pope. It was the people themselves who crowned me William Pitt, the great commoner. I would not wish you a better title. My son, evil days are coming to us. There may come a time when only a single-minded man can save us. William?
Yes, sir.
Are you very drunk?
Yes, sir.
Good God, sir, how do you come to be in that state? You shouldn't be upset by a bottle or two of port at your age.
Your conversation is intoxicating.
It's time you went to bed.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night, my boy. William Pitt.
Sir?
Do not seek fame through war.
No, sir.
Did you ever have a son, Mrs. Sperry?
No, my lord.
Then you've missed the greatest joy and the greatest gamble in the world. We must watch over him. One day there may be need of him.
August 15th. Child's Christian name, please.
Napoleon.
Napoleon. Thank you, Signor Bonaparte.
The Earl of Chatham dies. The war against America is lost. Governments come and go. The glory of England fades. The decadence of the court of France infects the society of Britain. It is an age of highly polished manners and rather low behavior, of gay satins and miserable rags. The aristocracy get mellow on delicate wines, the poor dead drunk on gin at a penny a pint. Men are hanged for stealing sheep, whilst others grow fat on the proceeds of corruption. The wormwood eats into the army, the navy, and parliament. where the unpopular coalition government of Lord North and Charles Fox sticks its head ostrich-like in the sands of time, whilst the country sprawls aimlessly on a multicolored quilt of feckless folly.
Your Majesty, Lord Temple.
Yes, yes, yes.
I've just left the House of Lords, sir.
Yes?
The government of Lord North and Mr. Fox has been soundly defeated, a majority of 19.
Good, splendid. What's the general feeling there,
A feeling, sir, that unwarrantable pressure was brought to bear upon the House.
Indeed, by whom?
By you, sir.
Pressure? Nonsense. I merely allowed it to be known that I should no longer consider any man my friend who voted against my wishes. What's that Fox and North? Have they resigned?
No, sir.
Then we must hasten their departure. They must be dismissed. 7. You will doubtless find them at Brooks' Club with their dice. Seek them out. Inform them of this. In short, hustle them out. What else do they say,
There's a deal of speculation as to whom your next Prime Minister will be, sir.
Fogs them, eh?
Exceedingly, sir.
Yes, fogs me, too.
Lord Shelburne?
Shelburne, no.
The Duke of Portland?
Portland, wholly incompetent. There's yourself, of course. Yeah, well, that's worse than Portland. So they fancy I've no choice, eh? They fancy I should be driven back to Fox and North. Well, I'll show them. I'm tired of being served by these rogues. I'll find someone. I don't care what his politics are, so long as he does what he's told.
But I tell you, I must see Lord North and Mr. Fox.
Very irregular, Sir Evan. Very irregular. I don't know what Mr. Brooks will say, I'm sure.
Good heavens, man, I tell you, I'm here on behalf of His Majesty, the King.
No, sir, but neither of you are members.
Milord, Mr. Fox, may I speak to you privately, gentlemen?
We have no secrets from our friends, eh, North?
It's a matter of some delicacy.
That need not deter you, Sir Evan, unless it's a confession of some amorous escapade, in which case you could whisper it in my left ear.
You are, of course, aware of it, but I have formally to acquaint you with the defeat of your government over the India Bill in the House of Lords this afternoon by a majority of 19 votes.
I am, of course, aware of it, and I hereby formally acknowledge your formal notification of the fact.
I am therefore directed by His Majesty. I say, you know, this is most embarrassing, you know, Fox.
The King wants our resignations, is that it?
Yes. And I'm directed to ask when His Majesty may expect them.
Judgment Day. No, that will be rather a busy day. Shall we say the day after? Yes, the day after.
Oh, in that case, you will please deliver to me your seals of office forthwith.
Deuce, Krebs. The caster loses.
His Majesty further wishes me to tell you, gentlemen, that a personal interview will be most disagreeable to him.
Not more so than to us. Good night. Ah.
I wonder whom His Majesty will send for this time.
I lay you an even thousand, George. It isn't Shelburne.
Taken, Sheridan.
Brooks, the book.
His Majesty can send for Shelburne or his Fiddlers 3, but you can depend upon it, Lord North and I will be in the saddle again before Easter.
Would anyone else like to back his fancy? I'll give you generous odds, gentlemen. 4-1 against the Duke of Portland. 10-1 against my Lord Temple. For the life of me, I can't think of another runner.
Since we're dealing in outsiders, why not Mr. Wilberforce? Young Pitt or even Sir Evan?
Brooks, put this down. George Selwyn bets Richard Sheridan 1,000 guineas that the next Prime Minister His Majesty selects will be Lord Shelburne.
Mr. William Pitt.
What do you think of these, Mr. Pitt? Like the cheeks of a bishop, eh? What? Have you ever seen more magnificent specimens?
No, Your Majesty.
No, of course you haven't. When it comes to growing turnips, I'm the first farmer in Europe, eh? What? Here, examine them for yourself. That's right, take it. Weigh it. Smell it.
A remarkable vegetable, sir.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. I'll send you on the way tomorrow. Mix them with mutton, eh? What?
I will, sir. It's most kind of you.
You'll be good enough to tell me how to eat, Mr. Pitt.
I will indeed, sir.
You're very young, Mr. Pitt.
Time may be relied upon to rectify that, sir.
Yes. Still, you're exceedingly young to be my Prime Minister.
I thank you for the honor, sir.
I watched your career with interest. I followed it, as you know. And I'm tired of being served by knaves and fools. I take it you accept. Eh? What?
I do, sir.
Yeah, you accept. Good. Think you can form a government, eh?
I do, sir.
Oh. Well, I hope you're right. Well, I've the utmost confidence in you, Mr. Pitt. In spite of your opposition to my wishes in regard to the war with my rebellious American subjects. Yes, I suppose I should call them my late American subjects now. Eh? What?
I did what I felt to be my duty, sir.
Yes. There's another point, Mr. Pitt. You're a reformer, eh? You like to change things. I hope we shall have no innovations in my time.
We shall restrict them to those that are necessary, sir.
Oh. Oh, yes. Yeah, well, I think that's all, Mr. Pitt. Kiss hands at 11 in the morning. Move your writ in the house in the afternoon. You know, we should never have done it without manure.
Indeed, sir.
Yes, yes. All my life, I've tried to make this country manure-minded. In fact, you'll find the articles I write to the Annals of Agriculture punctuated with manure. Yeah, it's the secret of success. Oh, well, good night, dear.
Good night, sir.
Discuss the ministry in the morning, eh? Yes. Yes.
There appear to be only two of us. What would you care to play? Écarté or piquet?
I didn't come to play cards.
Very wise, William. My life has been made hideous by bad cards and good women. I don't know which is the more tedious. You heard the king sent for his seals, I suppose?
I have.
I'm not complaining. The royal sack suits me like a velvet cloak. I shall go to Newmarket for 48 hours.
And then?
And then? His Majesty, having discovered that no one can form a government, will send once more for that lump of moral disease, Lord North, and that despicable cesspool of Vice, Mr. Fox. Can't do without us.
Charles, the king has sent for me, and I am going to form a government.
This is a grisly hour for a joke, William.
No man was ever more in earnest, Charles. Now, don't say it.
What?
You're very young, Mr. Pitt.
But, my dear Billy, Prime Minister of England at 24.
That's why I want you to join me, Charles. I need your help. The House of Commons is rotten with corruption. Help me to drive the money changers out. Let's make a clean sweep.
Ah, the new broom.
The new broom?
Where are the bristles? Where are your followers? Lord North and I have a large party. We hold all the aces. Why should we throw in our hands just because you have a king up your sleeve?
I'm not interested in your party, Charles, only in you. The ideas of yesterday are dead, and those of today are dying. It's being in step with the ideas of tomorrow that counts. We are men of the future.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, William. The House can only be influenced by those who hold a majority, not by one who's only recently attained his.
The infirmity of youth is curable.
The cure would take 10 years, and you'll be killed in a night by laughter. Parliament's no place for perambulators.
Believe me, the country will prefer them to Bath chairs. It's true that I haven't lost a continent like your colleague Lord North, nor forfeited a fortune I don't possess in this, Mr. Brooks's home of statecraft. But in spite of these drawbacks, you'll see that I can and will govern.
William, you didn't really expect me to support you, did you?
Sir, the state of this country has never been lower. I believe that you are the only other man who might be able to restore her.
We are faced today, sir, with what is perhaps the most extraordinary situation in the whole history of this house. His Majesty has seen fit to exercise the royal prerogative so imprudently as to place the affairs of this great nation into the hands of an inordinately ambitious young man whose youth is his only possible excuse for his rashness in accepting office. I can think of nothing more calculated to leave a... Luckily, the situation is clear to the House, for I freely confess that for once words fail me. I therefore move that the House go into committee forthwith to inquire into the state of the nation.
The motion which the right honourable gentleman has seen fit to put forward is one which in conscience I would not feel justified to decline. Ambitious for myself I may be. Ambitious for the greatness and prosperity of Britain I certainly am and ever will be, for they constitute the happiness and pride of my life.
It's ludicrous, Sherry. The house is being turned into a nursery. The Speaker will soon discard his robes and don his rompers. Are you good at leapfrog, Sir John?
In my day, we had our own way of dealing with precocious infants. We upended them and...
Bellamy.
Yes, sir.
Bellamy, I think I could eat one of your veal pies.
Yes, sir.
And bring us some of your port, some real backstrap.
Very good, sir.
William, do you think we got a chance?
They've yet to hear me speak, Mr. Dundas. They've yet to know my policy.
But will they listen?
Well, it's so many years since a Prime Minister had a policy, they might enjoy the novelty.
Yes.
William, I'm ashamed of what has just happened. Ashamed to be a member of this house.
My dear Wilberforce, I've committed what my father called the atrocious crime of being a young man, that's all. Come, hobnail your liver with the bumper of Mr. Bellamy's blue seal.
A fellow just now had the audacity to say that you wouldn't last a week.
Precisely the same opinion was expressed by the highest authorities when I was barely 2 days old.
Then you intend to fight?
Tooth and nail, Mr. Dundas.
But she's been in Pitt.
You mean the baby's on a chair off in the spoon?
Schoolboy Gallum, a lot of infants playing at
It's the Foreign Minister turning the other cheek.
They hardly last over Christmas.
The present ministry has been defeated in division after division, yet still it clings to office. I call upon the minister to bow to the will of the House, to abandon the office, to which he has no shadow of a constitutional title. Once more I demand that he resign.
They must be made to listen.
We're in the minority.
In Parliament, yes. But in the country, I wonder.
What's wrong, Barker?
Wagon in front, sir. Broken a wheel, I think.
It's him. Billy Pitt, to be sure.
What is it?
You're not wanted.
people who won't take a hint have to be taught.
Help here, along with me.
O'clock and a fine, calm night. 11 o'clock. Clock on a fine, calm night.
Thank you, that's much easier. So you two gentlemen are followers of the fancy.
I'm Dan Mendoza, Whitechapel, ex-champion of England. And that's Gentleman Jackson, the reigning champion.
If you'd care to enroll in my academy, Mr. Pitt, I'd consider it a privilege to instruct you in the noble art.
I'll bear it in mind. It seems I must be prepared to defend myself not only against the representatives of the people, but the people themselves.
Surely, sir, you don't think what happened outside had anything to do with the people?
Well, there seem to be plenty of people about.
One of those ruffians dropped these. I know them, sir, and it's not likely they came by a guinea piece through honest labor.
Do you mean they were paid for them?
By some of your political enemies, most likely. They're afraid of you, but you've no enemies amongst the common folk of London, I'll swear.
No? Oh, I wondered perhaps if they considered me too young for these.
Not a bit of it, eh, Dan?
No, same as in the fancy, sir. A game young un is always better than a game old un. Begging your pardon, sir.
Did you hear that, Wilberforce?
I fear that I'm about to be sick. Henry, show the gentleman the vomitorium.
I've met with such opposition in Parliament, I was beginning to think the whole country was against me.
Not on your life, sir. You mustn't lose heart. Believe me, Mr. Pitt, you're closer watched than if you were the favorite for the Derby.
Make a round of the public houses, Mr. Pitt, and you'll be in no doubt about it.
I find you mighty refreshing, gentlemen. Tell me, what do you think of the state of the country?
I couldn't find proper language for it, sir.
And you, Mr. Mendoza?
Well, it ain't what it was in your old dad's time, is it, sir?
No. By heaven, it's not. We're held in contempt throughout Europe. Our ships can scarce command the Channel. We're considered the third-rate power. The country's bankrupt. Is that true?
Yes, sir. The more's the pity, every word of it.
How think you if I appeal to the people, taking my stand on peace and reform? Will they be behind me?
They are behind you already, sir. Peel off their mufflers and take the fight to them, Mr. Pitt, and I'm a Dutchman if you don't get the decision.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, I look towards you.
Mr. Pitt, you, not I, are the champion of England, and I likewise bow.
Young whippersnapper's overstepped himself this time.
Just before the Easter recess, too. Upset all my plans.
But what's happened? Pitt's appeal to the country.
King's dissolving Parliament and calling a general election.
A general election?
Oh, that plain dicey ye and a plain dicey William Pitt. Dim on Pitt of the people.
Vote for me, and no rents for a month.
Why, your worship, let me out, you've got me vote.
I stand for peace, retrenchment, and reform.
I stand for 3 acres and a cow for
I stand for your interests and that of the nation at large.
Richard White voting for Fox.
Over there on the left.
Excellent. Pitt's name
Ladies in the clock as well.
Name? Charles James Fox. Voting for Charles James Fox.
Thanks, Silver Sonny. It's knocking him cold, I tell him.
The whole country's gone Pitt mad from Land's End to John O'Groats.
Master of the Ordnance, Smith. My note's on the back.
There's a communication from Dr. Pricer. He's prepared his opinion on the sinking fund proposal. I suggest tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Could it be this evening?
Well, you're engaged to speak at the city banquet.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm afraid on this occasion the guests will have to be speechless in both senses of the word. You can file these. Make an appointment for this evening. It is urgent.
Where shall I hang this, sir?
Well, there's only one place for that.
This seems to be a private account.
20 hats.
I think you'll have to show yourself again, sir.
20 hats? I don't remember ever wearing 20 hats.
Shall I inquire into it, sir?
A little later. I noticed that port still in the hall. Have it uncrated, will you? You never know. We may be here long enough to drink it.
Excellent. A most lucid demonstration and the correct conclusion. Passed. Monsieur, you have my permission to sign your thesis.
The new broom sweeps clean. New taxes for old, new duties for old, new finance for old. Pitt orders the rebuilding of the Navy. In the forest they hew the raw material of the fleet. Of Portsmouth, Plymouth, Rotherhithe and Chatham, the sounds of shipwrights' hammers mingle with the rattles of chains hauling timber. And in the rising cities of the north burn the first lights of the Industrial Revolution. The face of Britain changes. Watt invents the steam engine. Cartwright, the power loom. Trevithick, the locomotive. Yet Charles Fox continues to oppose every new expenditure, but Pitt holds firm. Before him lies one vital task, the security of these islands. First one ship is launched. Then another. And another. Trickle grows to a stream to a deluge. Till one day in August off Spithead lies the whole newly forged might of the British Navy.
George, can't we sit down now?
My dear, this is a review ball. And when I review, I review. And go on reviewing. A few years ago, the Navy wasn't worth reviewing. Eh? What? Where's Mr. Pitt? Eh? Where's Mr. Pitt? 7 by Mr. Pitt. Must congratulate him, huh?
I really must sit down, dear. My stays are too tight.
Stays? Ask the Admiral to loosen them. Sailors know all about stays, huh?
George.
Have you seen Mr. Pitt? No, sir.
You hear that?
Well, I believe there is a kind of a function on here tonight, you know.
No, really?
Don't you think it's about time you put in an appearance?
Oh, must I?
I know you're a sort of matrimonial Aunt Sally.
What is this?
Huh? William.
Ah, Mr. Pitt. His Majesty wishes to speak to you.
See if you can persuade him to open a bottle of Blue Seal.
My dear Mr. Pitt, where have you been hiding? You know my daughters, I believe. They were so disappointed not to see you last Thursday.
Madam, I was torn between Mr. Wilberforce's bill for abolishing slavery and your efforts to abolish boredom.
75,000, sir. 75,000 acres, and in 2 years, amazing, Auckland, amazing. Pitt, Do you hear what Auckland's telling me? They're reclaiming land in Holland. He knows the devil all about it for a diplomat. Should make a good ambassador there, huh?
I'm glad you approve of his appointment, sir.
Approve? Of course I approve. Send me a report on the drainage and irrigation there. And watch out for the French, huh?
I will, sir.
Altogether, sir, you should have a busy time.
By the way, I saw you talking just now to Jenny. Dangerous clan, the Gordons. Avoid them. I'm inclined to think you should marry in self-defense.
I hope I can defend myself, sir, without such a drastic step.
Nonsense. Get the whole thing over and done with once and for all. Take a wife, Mr. Pitt.
Whose wife shall I take, sir?
Choose some amiable creature, without ambition and, if possible, without intelligence.
Mr. Gibbon is here, sir. You asked for him to be presented.
Gibbon? Gibbon?
The author of The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. You were presented with 12 volumes, sir.
Was I? Oh, yes, I recollect. Yes. Very well. Well, Mr. Pitt, think over what I've said.
I will, sir.
Must secure the succession, eh?
Mr. Gibbon, sir.
I'll be most grateful if you could do that.
William, may I present Mr. Alfred Atkinson? He's begged me to speak for him. Seems he has an ambition to enter the diplomatic service.
If only I could be attached to some European embassy, sir, in however minor a capacity.
Difficult profession, Mr. Atkinson. You know, a diplomat in Europe today must have two outstanding qualities. An ability to think quickly and, above all, an ability to pack quickly. What embassy had you in mind?
Well, sir, I was thinking of the Dutch embassy. I'd heard a rumor that there was a vacancy on Lord Auckland's staff.
Dutch? Do you speak Dutch, then?
No, sir. But I'd apply myself to it night and day.
Very well, Mr. Atkinson. You are a trifle young for a profession where life usually begins at 60, but I'll see what I can do for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Pitt. Oh, my father regrets he can't be here tonight, but he asked me to present his compliments.
Oh, thank you. How is his gout?
Well, if anything, sir, a little worse.
I'm sorry. Wish him a quick recovery for me, will you?
Certainly, sir.
Who was that young man, William?
I don't know.
You asked after his father's gout.
Always a safe question.
Excuse me, sir, but my father's been meaning to talk to you about me for some time now. I'm not interrupting Alice.
No.
Well, he feels, to put it in a nutshell, that the diplomatic service would suit me perfectly.
But, sir, to reply in a nutshell, would you suit the diplomatic service is a point you should consider, you know.
Oh, I have, sir. I've traveled a great deal, and I feel certain that if there were a vacancy, say, at The Hague, well, I'm very fond of Holland, sir. I can also skate.
It may sound superfluous, but do you speak Flemish?
Oh, yes, sir.
Good. Man behoeft die Vlaamse taal voortreffelijk te spreken?
That Flemish?
Hope so.
Well, actually, I don't speak it very fluently, sir. My Dutch is much better.
Come and speak to the Dutch minister.
Oh, well, no, please,
but
I'd much rather not. Well, as a matter of fact, sir, to be perfectly honest, well, it's an affair of the heart.
A Dutch girl?
Oh, no, sir, she's not Dutch, she's English. You should see her, sir. Words can't describe her. She's amazing.
She'll be an excellent match. I'm sorry, sir, but foreign affairs and those you have in mind don't mix. Goodbye.
Ben?
There's nobody I'd rather have met at this moment. Lord Hobart was asking me only just now if I'd speak to you, and I told him I didn't know you.
And why should he wish you to speak for him?
He thought a man of your age wouldn't understand. He's very young.
I see the difficulty.
And he's desperately anxious to make a career for himself.
The Hague?
How did you know?
Well, there appears to be an almost universal desire to go there. So you're the lady whom no words can describe.
They shouldn't have approached you like that. I mean, they can't all come, can they?
I don't think the building would hold them all.
I'm sure my father could find something for them somewhere.
Your father?
Lord Auckland.
Oh, of course. You're going with him to The Hague.
Yes.
Hobart speak Dutch?
Was that essential?
Well, you might meet a Dutchman.
Yes, there is that.
Oh, Eleanor, my dear, have you seen... I didn't know you knew my daughter, Mr. Pitt. May I present Mr. Smerick? I want your approval of Mr. Smerick as my assistant at The Hague. He's had vast experience, of course.
Do you speak Dutch?
Oh, fluent Dutch, both high and low, and French, Flemish, Danish, German, Polish, Russian, and has working knowledge of Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Greek, and various other languages.
How much further to London? 50 miles, sir.
I'm tired after last night.
William, I've come to the conclusion I must be an exceedingly dull dog.
Been listening to the opposition?
No, I wasn't thinking of politics. But there are other things in life.
Your father found time for marriage.
What's that got to do with it? Oh. No, I've too much to do just now.
There will always be too much to do.
Oh, no. Quite soon. Perhaps sooner than we think. All our dreams may come true. The first essential is peace. And that we have. Peace. And then, as surely as they're taking in their harvest over there, the rest will come. The rest will come.
Of the Bastille are down, and liberty has entered into possession. 20 million people have spurned at slavery and demanded freedom with an irresistible voice. How much the greatest event it is that has ever happened in the world, and how much the best.
We hoped and still hope that the events in France would bring her freedom. But now men who are extreme in all but humanity are grasping at power. And very soon we may see liberty for the many used as a stalking horse to secure license for the few.
Oh, citizen deputies! We assert our resolve to revolutionize all countries where our armies are or shall come. The soldiers of the revolution, march on! To seek him out wherever he may take refuge. If need be, in Holland itself.
Secretary of State.
Grenville?
France has declared war against Austria and has invaded Belgium.
We must recall Lord Auckland from The Hague. It may become necessary to fulfill our pact with Holland.
Monsieur de Talleyrand has called upon me, sir. He has asked if you could grant him a personal interview.
Tell Monsieur de Talleyrand that I'll see him at 9 o'clock.
Monsieur de Talleyrand.
Good evening, Monsieur de Talleyrand.
Good evening, Mr. Pitt.
I trust you had a fair crossing.
The channel between our two countries is narrow, but it might with advantage be narrow.
I would that were all that divided us, monsieur.
If there's any other gulf, Your Excellency, I feel certain it can be bridged.
Please.
Thank you. Have you heard the news?
I have, and I greatly regret it.
The conflict was forced upon France.
It was the French Assembly who declared war, I believe.
As a measure of self-defense?
And as a further measure, your soldiers have invaded Belgium and are seizing Savoy. Would you like a little port, Monsieur de Talleyrand?
Thank you, Mr. Pitt. You've taken Belgium merely under our protective wing. We shall withdraw as soon as our object is achieved. Thank you. As for Savoy, it is scarcely a serious state.
And Holland?
Holland? We are pledged, as you are, to defend that country against attack. I think I may say our word is as good as our bond.
At this moment, I believe your bonds are at a 60% discount.
Mr. Pitt, if Britain and France became military allies, we could dominate the world. Why do you smile?
I was thinking of one of the sayings of which you're justly celebrated.
Oh, yes. Which one?
This one. Providence gave men the gift of speech so that they might use it to conceal their thoughts.
Did I really say that? I have been sent here quite unofficially, Mr. Pitt.
And shall we speak unofficially?
Oh, by all means.
And that is without humbug?
Humbug. One of my favorite British words. Please proceed, Mr. Pitt.
Your suggestion of an alliance for world domination is merely intended as a bait.
I dislike the word bait. Shall we rather call it a feeler?
To sound our neutrality.
In the language of your elder diplomats, to discover how much intervention there is likely to be in your non-intervention.
I see. Let me be completely frank with you. I have already sent for our ambassador at The Hague, Lord Auckland.
Indeed.
When he returns, I shall instruct him to inform the Dutch government that if Holland is attacked, Britain will at once go to her aid.
I feel confident that the independence of Holland will be respected.
Have you the same confidence, monsieur, in the conduct of your masters in Paris?
Oh la la, how can I say that? Nothing is permanent in Paris.
Have you noticed that when a bunch of horses gallop wildly together for a moment, they stay massed, and then as the race proceeds, one outdistances the other? It's the same with men. What would you do if such a man arose in France?
If such a man arose, I would certainly deplore it, but I would attach myself firmly to him at the first opportunity. Good night, Mr. Pitt.
Good night, Monsieur de Talleyrand. Do not seek fame through war.
Men, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day. To save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of God.
Lines of fortifications at Flushing are in perfect order.
Good. And Amsterdam?
Well, the people of Amsterdam are well affected toward the government. There are a number of Frenchmen of various denominations who are disposed to spread reports, and I'm sorry, sir, I should have warned the servants to keep the waits away.
No, Auckland. They remind us that we must do everything in our power to preserve the peace. The ill wind which blew you from Holland brought certain benefits. Did your daughter return with you?
Eleanor? Oh, yes, of course.
It is imperative that the Dutch should take every possible precaution to guard against any sudden step by the French.
I agree, sir.
As to the hidden menace at Amsterdam, we can deal with that as and when it becomes necessary.
I'm sorry, Father. I know you said you weren't to be disturbed. Good evening, Mr. Pitt.
Good evening.
It's the waits, Father. You can't disappoint them. They've called to drink your health.
Well, I'm afraid they'll have to drink it in my absence this year, my dear.
Oh, nonsense, Auckland. It's customs like these that make Christmas. Besides, we've nearly finished.
Very well. If you'll excuse me.
You must be pleased to be home, Miss Eden.
So pleased that I'm already sad at the thought of returning to The Hague. I suppose you couldn't arrange to make my father ambassador to Kent, at least until the tulips bloom again in Holland.
If they bloom, if they're not trampled underfoot by the invader.
It's not as bad as all that, is it?
I hope not. Has your father's assistant, Mr. Smethwick, I believe he was called, has he added any more languages to his repertoire?
I don't think there are any more left.
I was sorry about his 3 rivals.
There are drawbacks to being my father's daughter.
He might choose you a husband.
He would, but so long as I seem to be attached elsewhere, he doesn't mind. So from Easter to Whitsun, I have to be in love with Jack. And from Whitsun to Midsummer, it's Ernest. And from Midsummer to Christmas, it's old Hobart. You haven't seen the children about, have you?
Eleanor, waits are just leaving.
All right, I'm coming.
Is that Hobart?
Yes.
His time's nearly up. Have you appointed his successor?
Not yet. You will be staying over Christmas, Mr. Pitt.
Oh, yes. But not, alas, from Christmas to Easter. Hello, what are you up to?
It's a game. No, it isn't. It's wrong. Oh. Is there anybody about?
Well, I don't see anybody.
Are you sure?
Positive.
We mustn't be caught. We've lost half our side already.
What's happened to them?
Some are dead and some are prisoners in the nursery.
Oh, and you've got to rescue them?
Yeah. Well, redskins.
Well, let's go and see if the coast's clear.
May the spirit of Christmas be with you during the festive season, my lord, and with you, my lady. And may you and all yours prosper throughout the coming year.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
There's a tribe around the campfire in the valley, but I think we could creep upstairs without being seen. Come on.
I go first. I'm Chief Black Eagle.
Oh, who am I?
I don't know. I think you could be Chief Brown Owl.
Chief Brown Owl, right, come on.
I go first.
Oh, yes.
Enjoyed your
Little drop for the boy, my
Enjoyed your
lady.
singing very much. Are you all very cold?
Thank you. You've got the Prime Minister staying here, my lady.
Another big one, Mother.
Well, a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
See you at the Cock and Bull, Mr. Somerset.
Eleanor, my dear, what on earth are the children playing? The Red Indians, Mother. What will Mr. Pitt think? Stop them.
Oh, help!
Nothing of the sort. I'm Chief Brown Owl trying to restore the balance of power.
Without much success, apparently.
Well, what do you expect? At my age.
You haven't forgotten that, have you?
Made me realize that Parliament has aged me beyond my years.
Why don't you stay over Christmas?
Why not? Why not until after Easter?
Help! Go down the golden staircase at the end of the corridor.
Thank you. I'll see you later, oh First Lady of the Household.
I shall be waiting, oh First Lord of the Treasury.
Help!
Oh, get him!
This way, please, sir. I will inform Mr. Pitt immediately, sir.
William, yesterday at dawn, the French fleet sailed into the Scheldt, and their army is massed on the frontiers of Holland.
With 90 out of our 113 sail of the line in commission, the Navy's never been better prepared.
Good. We shall instantly assemble a naval squadron off the Downs. They don't take our warnings seriously.
Is that surprising, with Mr. Fox egging the frogs on whenever he gets to his feet?
Mr. Fox puts on his rosiest spectacles whenever he looks across the channel. I hope to induce him to take them off.
I wish you success, sir. For my part, I shall feel more at home at sea.
Unlike Mr. Fox, who couldn't be more at sea at home. Now, gentlemen, We shall continue to make all efforts for peace, and we must still hope that it may yet be maintained. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
We shall fling down to the kings as a gage of battle the head of a king!
On the most groundless pretenses, the Assembly, now exercising the powers of government in France, has declared war against His Majesty. Under this wanton and unprovoked aggression, His Majesty relies with confidence on the zealous exertions of a brave and loyal people in prosecuting a just and necessary war.
Now everything must wait. Reform must wait, India must wait, the slave trade must wait. Everything we've worked for must wait.
Can anything justify the miseries of war?
How's this from Cicero? Wars are undertaken in order that it may be possible to live in peace without molestation.
That was written 2,000 years ago. The human mind doesn't seem to have progressed remarkably since then.
To hell with platitudes. It's fight or surrender now, and we shall fight. I don't say we're braver than they. I don't say we're more skilled in war. But they'll find that we've 1 week on our side.
1 week?
Yes. Those last 7 days when our enemies are exhausted and let go. Those last 7 days when Britain, likewise exhausted, holds on.
The man of peace becomes a man of war. From a stormy debate in the House to discuss the strategy of war with the army, to Warmer Castle where he's warden of the Cinque Ports to approve plans for the Navy, and then far into the night at Downing Street, unsparingly to direct the efforts of the nation towards a common goal. His efforts are rewarded. The war goes well for England. The British forces march on Dunkirk, and the French are besieged in Toulon.
Citizen Bonaparte, I presume the convention knows what it is about, but I warn you, you will have nothing to do. In a matter of days, we shall have taken the British stronghold by assault. At this moment, our cannon are preparing the way.
May I suggest, Citizen General, a measure by which our victory might be hastened?
Oh, what?
It strikes me that our artillery might perhaps be a little more effective if we were to move it forward so that its fire can reach the enemy. At the moment, Citizen General, we are out of gunshot.
Kicked out of Toulon by a damn little Corsican bandit nobody ever heard of, and now chased from Dunkirk by a rabble of ragtag and bobtail.
Well, thank heaven for the Navy.
On my soul, I could conduct the war better myself.
That many-headed monster, the British public, will soon be crying out for victories. Great walloping, juicy victories served up with hot red gravy. They'll not much longer be content with Uncle William's cold potatoes.
Oh, curse Pitt.
Fox was right. With the British driven from the continent, the sweetness of victories gave way to the bitterness of defeats. The armies of France swept across the Low Countries and invaded Italy. 3 years of war had impaired his health, but he fought on with a single purpose against the rising tide of public opinion, finding rare moments of leisure at Lord Auckland's house on his journeys from Downing Street to Warmer Castle.
One gulp and it's gone.
Taste will stay for hours, unless Somerset brings something to drown it.
You're working too hard.
Working too hard? Sitting here with you in this beautiful garden.
It's the first time for a month.
5 weeks and 2 days, to be exact.
Only because you're on your way to Walmer. Even there, you'll be working yourself to death. There, come along, drink it up like a good boy. Please me.
That's a better reason than any the doctor could give.
Did you hear anything, Mr. Somerset?
I'm not in the habit of eavesdropping, Mrs. Carr.
Changed your habits very suddenly, haven't you?
In the course of my duties, I am bound to hear a great deal, whether I listen or not.
All right, Mr. Somerset. What did you hear that you didn't listen to?
Nothing. At least, nothing of any consequence. It is true that, by accident, I did hear Mr. Pitt observe that the effect would be disastrous.
Effect of what?
Having the Italians on our side, I expect.
Precisely what escaped me.
If you want my opinion, our Billy shouldn't be here the way the war's going.
He only looked in on his way home. He's got to have some time to himself, working like a dog in Downing Street, trying to put everything right what our generals have done wrong. He's entitled to an hour or two with his girl, isn't he?
Next to one of the ponies and right after the carriage.
When can you come here for a real rest?
In my dream. When the war's won. The fires of war need feeding.
War makes men harsh.
For harsh measures. Until victory is won, there must be no softness in my heart.
In peacetime, everything is possible.
Yes.
I beg your pardon, sir.
I must go. Goodbye.
Look, that's me!
Hello, Johnny.
I can't look at your eyes so long.
You shouldn't be out in the rain with your gout mark.
Hello, Nanny. Somebody called.
Mr. Grenville, with a young man named Melville.
Oh.
Queer customer across the street, too. Are your feet dry, Master Billy?
No, they're soaking.
Soaking?
Sopping. Grenville. Nanny, I never felt drier in my life.
I know, a bottle of port.
Hello, Grenville. What are you doing here this time of night?
I brought a young man named Melville with me.
Huh?
You know, what he says is almost incredible, but Malmesbury vouches for him.
What's it all about?
He's in close touch with the moderates of the French government. Come speak to him yourself, will you?
Sir.
You're an American?
Yes, sir. I left Paris 3 days ago. Arrived in London this morning.
Mr. Grenville informs me that you're in touch with the French moderates.
That is so, sir. And Monsieur Talleyrand asked me to give you a message.
Is Monsieur Talleyrand in power?
He's not at present in office, but so long as Monsieur Talleyrand is in Paris, he is always in power.
And what was the message?
He asked me to tell you that... Gee, I hope I got this right. That my visit, like his, is unofficial, but without humbug.
And what do Monsieur Talleyrand and the gentlemen of the French government hope to gain from your visit, Mr. Melville?
Peace, Mr. Pitt.
Peace.
France is bankrupt, and the people want it. I know it sounds crazy, but I think I can get it on the most acceptable terms.
You, Mr. Melville?
Yes, sir.
If we lost this war, Harry, which God forbid, it'd be a judgment. A judgment for all the dissipation and crime that's been going on in this country this past 100 years.
When is this war going to be over, Your Honor?
You must ask that fellow Pitt. He's keeping the damn thing going.
Pitt negotiating peace with France. Pitt negotiating peace with France.
Well, it's quite time it was over. With taxation soaring like one of those idiotic balloons, life's hardly worth living.
Where does she come from, do you think?
It's probably the bark from the hay.
I wonder when we shall be able to take the Channel packet. Across those few miles into France and go again to Paris and Brussels.
Rome and Venice. It may not be so very long. I've very great hopes. We're discussing it now.
In some stuffy room, I suppose, with flies buzzing on the window panes. I'm sure they'd make a much better peace if they negotiated in the sunlight. Or for that matter, under the moon.
The moon? Oh, don't say that. The French will only ask for it.
I've dreamt of it so long, I hardly dare believe it.
I've dreamt too. Not only of peace.
Tell me.
If you tell your dreams, they never come true.
Peacetime, all dreams come true. Mr. Billy, Mr. Melville's here.
Melville?
But I didn't expect...
I'll wait here.
Mr. Pitt, Smith, ask Mr. Dundas to join us, will you? You'll find him with Lord Auckland, I
Mr.
think.
Dundas is already in there, Master.
Oh, good. A man has called from the landscape guard.
Oh, yes, what of it?
Well, it isn't the third time he's called.
Well, pay him, Smith, pay him.
But it's a considerable sum. I
Well,
should have liked
later, Smith. Don't blather. You'd better tell us the worst, Mr. Melville, without trimmings, if you please.
In a nutshell, gentlemen, they've beaten us to it.
Who?
The war party. They've sent General Augereau to Paris. He's kicked out the moderates and dissolved the parliament. That's not all my news, gentlemen. There are strong reports in Paris that the Austrians have surrendered and signed a peace with General Bonaparte at Loben.
But perhaps it's only a rumor.
No. The war party would never have acted in Paris unless their hands had been freed.
With army men in power like Ducos, Bonaparte, and Augereau, peace is impossible.
Yes. War parties don't seize power in order to discuss peace. Now we're alone. Gentlemen, we must leave at once.
Well, I always thought we'd have to lick him in the end.
It's bad news, isn't it?
The peace discussions fail. The peace discussions fail.
Billy, may I speak to you for a moment?
Yes, of course.
I must go against you this evening.
Why?
I can do nothing else. I believe there is still a hope of peace, and while that hope remains, we should strive for it.
With the war party in power in France?
With any party in power.
I see. Then you intend to support Charlie Fox?
I must.
All right, if you're convinced, I won't press you.
You understand, Billy?
Yes, I understand.
But even an uneasy truce is preferable to the evils of war. I want the trumpet of an angel to proclaim to the ears of sovereigns that it has become their universal interest, as well as their moral duty, to have a period of peace.
I challenge the minister to define in one sentence, if he can, the real aim and object of this war, and why he still urges us to lavish our money and our blood in its support. The French are sick of the war, and so are we. A new party is in power in France. And here and now I say, let us meet them with reasonable overtures, and moderation will achieve more than the most strenuous resistance. For if this war is to continue any length of time, God knows what the dreadful consequences may be.
The right honourable gentleman opposite defies me to state in one sentence what is the object of this war. I know not if I can do it in one sentence, but in one word I can tell him that it is security. Security against a danger, the greatest that ever threatened the world. It is security against a danger which in degree and extent was never equaled. A danger which threatens all the nations of the earth. Now we face that danger alone. But we shall meet it undaunted, determined to stand or fall by the laws, liberties, and religion of our country.
William, we've talked over our differences before. Why not now?
Why not, indeed?
Well, I want you to know that I respect your convictions, even though you had to speak and vote against me.
You're wrong, William. I'm not sure. I didn't vote either way.
Consider where you are.
Number 10, they said, and number 10 it is.
But you can't possibly... Very well, come with me, please.
Evans, what is it?
There's nothing, Mr. Pitt. I'll explain
What
later.
is it, Evans?
There are two bailiffs, sir, saying they're here to levy an execution.
Bailiffs? Levy an execution?
Yes, sir. They're suing you for personal debt. A very considerable amount, sir.
Well, there must be some mistake.
No, sir, I fear there is no mistake. Evan will attend to the matter, sir.
Thank you.
You'd better come up too, Mr. Smith. What is all this about, William?
God knows.
Mr. Smith, how on earth did this happen?
I'm afraid Mr. Pitt has allowed his accounts to accumulate. Yes, I believe Smith has mentioned it once or twice.
May I?
Please.
Excuse me, sir. The Duke of Richmond, my Lord Spencer and Grenville, and Mr. Dundas wish urgently to see you.
Show them in.
Well, William, this is worse than I thought.
Hmm?
You are very deeply in debt. Your bills alone amount to a small fortune. And you've lent a great deal of money to your brother and cousins, which they've not paid back. It's very serious.
How serious?
Over 30,000.
Over 30,000?
How on earth did it happen?
I suppose I'd other things to think about.
Read this, William.
Good night, Smith. Good night, Nanny. General Augereau today proclaimed that in overthrowing the moderate government, he was acting as the agent of Citizen General Bonaparte, who is now named as Commander-in-Chief of the French armies. Napoleon Bonaparte thus assumes complete naval, military, and civil power over the entire French Empire.
So you were right.
You come a copper. Well, after all, the fellow's barely 30.
Caesar and Alexander were no older.
But the man's an upstart.
Conquerors are invariably upstarts, and Bonaparte has conquered a continent.
But, Mr. Pitt, are you sure he won't split France?
Nations are never split by victories, Spencer, only by defeats. Bonaparte will unite France as never before. The people of this country are shouting for peace. They must be made to see the truth. Grenville, you please call a cabinet meeting for 12 tonight.
Tonight is very short notice.
My Lord Duke, we cannot hope to awaken the people to its peril unless we ourselves are alive to it. The time for half measures and half-hearted complacency is past. From now on, we must realize we are fighting a nation of armed fanatics, led by an arch-fanatic. We must work together with a single mind and a single purpose. We must put aside all personal affairs, renounce leisure, family, even sleep, to this one imperative duty. I warn you, Bonaparte will not count the cost. He'll climb over 1 million corpses to attain his ambition. We must break him, or he will break us. That is all, gentlemen.
Your own affairs?
Do they matter now? No one depends on me.
But, William, you have your own happiness to consider.
We have the future of this country to consider.
Don't make any decisions you might later regret.
You're all right? Perfectly. Leave it alone, Smith. You'll probably be favoured again before morning.
Goodness, I'll give them a piece of my
You
mind.
do nothing of the sort, please, Mrs. Perry. Go to bed. Go to bed. Smith. I have to write a very important letter. Will you please arrange to have it delivered without a moment's delay? I'll ring when it's done.
But now, as much for your sake as my own, I am compelled to say that I find the obstacles insurmountable. Believe me, I have not lightly sacrificed my best hopes. Whoever may be fortunate enough to be united to you will be destined to more than his full share of human happiness. Sacrificed his... But why, Father? Why?
Only he can answer that, my child. Today he goes to Walmer. Perhaps he'll call. My dear Wilberforce, send this by private messenger. May I offer you and my other loyal friends my heartfelt thanks for the generous manner in which you and they have relieved my anxieties by settling my personal debts. I told you not to stop.
Oh, beg your pardon, sir. I wasn't thinking.
What was I saying, Smith?
Or are we deceiving ourselves?
St. Toulon simply is a blind.
He's in a position to keep us guessing.
We can only wait and see.
And win the war by a display of masterly inactivity. Gentlemen, let us create events, not bow down to them. Here we watch Bonaparte's front door, while there he prepares some mischief at the back. He thinks to pin us down behind our defenses if we submit to it, but we shall not submit to it.
But how can we do otherwise?
By passing to the offensive, by sending a naval force to close that back door.
But that will leave us open to attack at home.
That is how Bonaparte hopes we shall argue, but we shall not bestow obliging. He thinks we would not dare, half-armed and alone, with himself in control of all the ports from the Texel to Spain, we would never dare to send a naval squadron from Britain to the Mediterranean. So he's turned his eyes to the Mediterranean, towards Malta, Sicily, Egypt, and India. Gentlemen, with all that at stake, is this the time to stay at home?
I'm with you, Billy. We've sat on our backsides long enough.
It's a fearful risk.
My dear Addington, when we are taking as many risks as Bonaparte, I shall begin to feel a little safer.
Yes, but we've no command of the Mediterranean.
A bold leader would succeed in getting it.
All our best officers are occupied elsewhere.
The man we choose must have one object, to intercept and destroy the enemy. He must be capable of making great decisions, and having made them, he must not fail. For if he fails...
Yes, but where can you find such a man?
Gentlemen.
Here are the announcements for the forthcoming week. Before reading them, I have been asked to read this. A naval officer here present wishes to render thanks to Almighty God for granting him complete recovery from a severe wound and for the many blessings bestowed upon him. At 8 o'clock each morning, we will celebrate Holy Communion.
Nelson, Mr. Pitt? Rear Admiral Nelson?
Surely you can't be serious.
Why not?
There is such a thing as seniority, Mr.
I am more interested in merit, sir.
Both Sir William Parker and Sir John Ord are men of great merit.
And senior.
Parker is the man, Mr. Pitt.
Nelson is comparatively untried.
In fact, there's nothing to be said for him but brilliant achievement and still more brilliant promise.
He's been fortunate, sir. His methods have at times been sadly unorthodox.
It is true that when Nelson took the St. Joseph at St. Vincent, he forgot to conform to naval tactics. That's one reason why he appeals to me. And Ord, that is all.
Do I understand you will appoint Nelson?
He is already appointed. He will sail in the vanguard with the first favorable wind.
Sir John and Sir William won't like it, you know.
We must hope to survive their displeasure.
They'll be after Nelson like a pack of hounds if he's bested by the French.
And after me, my lord.
Sir Horatio Nelson.
Past midnight and a fine clear morning. Past 12 o'clock and a fine clear morning.
No, it's not the First Lord of the Admiralty. It's only me. Come in, Mr. Bellamy.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Bellamy.
Put the tray on the desk. Come along now. Come along. Master Billy, you won't just go and leave it now, will you?
Nanny, have I ever been known to leave a veal pie? Ask Mr. Bellamy.
My pies are to Mr. Pitt what frogs are to Monsieur Bonaparte. Good night.
Good night, Bellamy. Nanny, will you ask Mr. Smith to come up here, please?
In a moment. That's right. Starving yourself to death won't help to win the war.
The First Lord.
Bonaparte has sailed from Toulon. Nelson has missed him.
You're certain?
Bonaparte left with large military forces and a powerful fleet.
For where?
We don't know.
How did it happen?
A gale dispersed our ships and damaged the vanguard. The French saw their chance and took it.
And Nelson?
He's made his repairs and gone in search of them. He has the whole Mediterranean to comb.
Do you think we were wrong?
Hmm?
Do you think we were wrong?
No.
Neither do I. Well, Spence, you better get to bed and get some rest. There's nothing else you can do.
I wish you'd take the same advice for once. Good night.
Good night.
There.
Is Mr. Pitt up yet?
Hasn't even touched it. No. I heard him go to bed 3:30 it must have been, so I thought I'd better let him sleep on. And I'd be obliged if you do the same.
I'll just see if he's awake. Mr. Pitt. Mrs. Sperry.
Come on, what is it?
We've lately been seeing engines which do much of the work that man used to do. If they get worn out, they can be replaced. You were never strong, you know.
Is my life in danger?
Today, all our lives are in danger.
Come on. Tell me the truth.
You can give you my opinion. We doctors are not so confoundedly familiar with the truth as you politicians. Too much respect for it.
Come on, tell me.
If you take yourself in hand, if above all you free yourself from all responsibility, you'll be all right.
Hey,
Then, before long, I shall lose a very good friend.
Oh. I see. Oh, we'd better have some port, hadn't we?
Oh, no more port, Billy.
No more port? God, it is serious, isn't it?
Well, I've warned you.
Walter. I think we keep this to ourselves. Smith.
Sir?
Any news? Out with it. Never mind what Sir Walter told you. What is it?
Bonaparte has landed in Egypt. No news of Nelson.
I do not see the Prime Minister in his accustomed place. Perhaps he finds discretion the better part of valor. Bonaparte is now in Egypt and will soon, no doubt, turn towards India. How did this happen? The author of his country's ruin is not here to tell us. Although he himself pressed the appointment of a relatively junior officer against wiser counsels of the Lords Commissioners. And to this officer he entrusted forces which were in any event inadequate to the task. Is it to be wondered at that Bonaparte was able to outwit that commander? I must apologize to the Prime Minister. I congratulate him on finding, after all, valor the better part of discretion. I have been in opposition now nearly 14 years. I have brought almost 40 fruitless motions for peace. Again and again I have told myself, it is so bad, it cannot get worse. And each time I was wrong. But now I solemnly tell you that if this government, that minister, remain in power, there are no depths we shall not have to plumb.
Mr. Pitt. Sir, this message has just been handed to me. Rear Admiral Sir Horatio Nelson, commanding Mediterranean Squadron, reports that the French fleet was sighted at anchor in Aboukir Bay off the mouth of the Nile. On the 1st of August, we engaged the enemy at 5:30 in the evening. The battle continued through the hours of darkness. At 9:45, the enemy flagship, the Orient, blew up, became a total loss. By dawn, the enemy had been decisively defeated. According to the last information, only 2 French sail of the line escaped. All right, Smith. Thank you. Oh, Smith, I'm going to bed. Good night. Oh, Smith, I intend to sleep for at least 2 days. God bless you. Good night.
That, my dear, is life.
Frustrated in the east, Napoleon turns again to Europe. Once more the war-weary armies roll back before the might of Bonaparte. The British alone stand unscathed behind their island ramparts, but as time passes, they too weary of the war.
Bonaparte, first consul of the French Republic, to His Majesty, the King of Great Britain and Ireland. Paris, Christmas Day, 1799. Your Majesty, must this war that has ravaged Europe for 5 years be eternal? Are there no means of coming to an understanding? What is it, Talleyrand?
I wish I could share your confidence in this proposal, sir.
If it divides opinion in Britain, its object is achieved.
And Mr. Pitt?
If 3/4 of the nation are shouting for peace, he must resign.
I've shouted before, but he stayed.
This time he will bow before the storm.
But how can you tell if there will be a storm? In Britain it snows in the summer, and the people are just as unreliable.
You judge the British, Talleyrand, by the reactions of the French. I tell you, the British are a stupid, illogical race, led by a second-rate politician. If he was a general, he would know when he was defeated. But since he doesn't, I shall fight him with his own weapon.
And allow him to choose them, sir.
In military science, Talleyrand, there is something more important than weapons, more important than men. Time. A short peace will give me that time. Once I have built a fleet large enough to smash them at sea, the rest will follow. Must the two most enlightened nations on earth sacrifice for vain ambitions the glories of peace?
Is the Prime Minister aware that His Majesty has received the most cordial offer of peace from the French First Consul? And if so, will he advise His Majesty to accept it?
The answer to the first part of that question is yes. The second, no.
Does the Minister consider it justifiable to reject an appeal by the most elevated personage in the French Republic?
I do.
Why must the Prime Minister assume that Bonaparte is not sincere in his desire for peace?
It is not a question of whether he wants peace, but what he wants peace for. May I give notice, sir, of my intention to bring another motion for peace? My 44th, I think it will be.
Back to the old wrangling, Harry.
But it really is time we put the matter again to debate. How is your gout today, sir? In this matter, I am convinced that I represent public opinion, and that public opinion is for peace now, and that sooner or later, public opinion will force you into signing it.
The trouble with Mr. Pitt is he's been at war so long now, he doesn't know peace when he sees it. He thinks this is a private war between him and Boney.
But the French need peace as much as we do. What harm can it do?
It's like a boxer leaving the ring and letting himself get out of condition. He doesn't fight as well when he comes back. You won't find Bernie going out of training.
I can't see that.
10 stone 5.
Billy Pitt, why don't you make peace now you got the chance? Or get out to make way for the man who will?
I'm afraid he's absolutely convinced. Nothing can change his mind now.
But nobody knows anything of his reasons.
He's certain to be misunderstood.
Hello, Harry.
Hello, Willie.
Hello, Ed.
I saw the king. I advocated a new policy, but I made no headway. It was rather like trying to blow porridge through a blanket.
If you go, Addington will take your place.
God preserve us.
There is only one course left to me. I must resign.
You're bound to be misunderstood.
The Prime Minister is the servant of public opinion, and I've lost the confidence of the public. I've also lost the confidence of the king. Besides, I can tell you this now, if you didn't know it before, I'm not well. Britain must not be governed by sick men.
But, William, it's still not too late.
It is too late. I've just come from the king. I offered His Majesty my resignation. He saw fit to accept it.
late, sir.
Yes, I heard him. Mrs. Sperry left?
Yes, she'll have warmer ready for you by tomorrow.
Good. Oh, you better take the...
Yes, these came for you.
Well, Smith, I cannot possibly thank you adequately. I'm deeply, deeply grateful. You know, Smith, that here and there I fancy I see a familiar face. You, I know. And you. And I think I know my valet. Hey, Hargreaves. But who, for instance, are you?
Augustus Pontifex, sir.
And what do you do?
I attend to the personal requirements of Mr. Hargreaves, sir.
And you?
Millicent Gray, if you please, sir.
And what are your duties?
I look after Mr. Pontifex, sir.
Lucky Mr. Pontifex. And who's this?
I'm Bassett, sir.
I take it you've been here for some time, Bassett.
I remember your father, sir.
So do I. What do you do, Bassett?
I'm the odd man, sir.
Oh, no, Bassett. I've been the odd man in this house. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
I want to thank you all for your help during the very long time that I've been here. Thank you very much indeed, all of you. Goodbye. Bye, all.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Lovely days.
Good morning, Mr. Addington.
Good morning.
Is that all?
There's just one thing more, sir.
Yes, what is it?
The peace treaty with Britain, signed this morning.
Good. Why didn't you show it me before?
Because if I had, sir, you wouldn't have done any work this morning.
That's a fine way to celebrate a peace. Makes twice as much noise as any war. Here's your medicine, Master Billy. Drink it up now. Come now, there's a good boy.
Nanny. Nanny, I want you to take wine with me.
No, no, Mr. Billy. I'm not one for drinking
Come along
port
now,
wine,
come
especially
along
at this
now.
time
Be a
of
good
night.
girl and drink it up
No.
to an enduring peace.
Oh, all right. As if it was likely.
An enduring peace.
Some say it's a bad treaty. Is it, Mr. Billy?
Terms might be worse. I wish everything that's good from it.
There's a ship going out. It's all lighted up.
It's the Channel packet.
The first in peacetime.
I wonder when we shall be able to take the Channel packet again. In peacetime, all dreams come true.
His Majesty's government, whilst of course still considering the safety of this country as a first principle, can now see its way to a substantial reduction in our naval and military expenditure. Who knows? Perhaps we may now dare to look forward to a time of tranquility, to a spirit of happy harmony in the future of Europe. Perhaps we may see ere long in the forges of Britain and France the swords of conflict beaten into plowshares, and so return once again to the peaceful pursuit of agriculture. Now the march of tramping feet has ceased in France. Perhaps we shall see the leaders of Europe relieved of the cares of war, making plans for the future happiness of their people, while the soldiers of Europe are demobilized and sent back to the towns and villages and fields, to be united again with their wives and children in the simple joys of family life. Such is the picture I dare to envisage today.
I have tried, my lord, to live on good terms with England, but I am not a man of infinite patience. Are the British tired of peace? You are their ambassador, you should know. My lord, I have now an army of 480,000 men. I am ready for any enterprise. I am ready, if need be, to lead an expedition against your island. I tell you I do not bluff. If England wants war, then war she shall have.
I therefore think it proper to acquaint the House that the conduct of the French government has obliged His Majesty to withdraw his ambassador from Paris. And the ambassador of the French Republic has left London.
Citizens, tonight we do honor to our great leader, Bonaparte. When your flag waves over the blood-stained shores of the Thames, the British will bless you as the glorious liberator of the English nation!
And I can assure the honourable member that we see no cause for alarm or undue anxiety.
Is the minister then satisfied with the state of our defences? Does he think they are fit to withstand an invasion?
Can he deny that whole stretches of our coastline are open to attack?
Oh, I think that's an exaggeration. I may say that the government is earnestly considering an extension of our defences.
I don't understand. Does the minister propose to defeat Bonaparte by earnest consideration?
I must remind the House of the energetic measures already taken.
Has the minister considered taking a still more energetic measure? By seeking the advice of Mr. Pitt?
It's too late anyway. The roses have done very badly, but the vegetables are all right.
The country is still half asleep, but it is not too late to rouse it. They must hear your voice, William.
They heard it for 17 years, Grenville.
And they nearly always listen to it.
At Westminster, they are crying for the pilot that weathered the storm. That's what Canning has called you, and it's caught on everywhere. They sang it the other night at the Merchant Taylor's Hall.
How's it received?
With cheers by all at the table.
I've plenty to do here in Kent, you know.
William, the country is in mortal danger of invasion now. Addington stuck his head into the sand.
And he's too scared to take it out again. We need a call to arms, and you alone can make it.
Will you speak, Billy?
No, Doctor?
You know as well as I do, Billy. I've told you before. No more responsibility. No more politics. You must go slow, Billy. You must go slow.
It is not enough for us to say that Bonaparte is a madman and will pay the price of his madness and folly. We must take care that we do not pay it first. We are called to struggle for the destiny not of this country alone, but of the civilized world. Once rouse the spirit of this country and give that spirit a just and powerful direction, and you'll see it catching from town to town, from village to village, until soon the whole kingdom will be alight with one unquenchable flame. Our highest exaltation ought to be that we hold out to countries now bending under the iron yoke of tyranny a prospect of what the exertions of a free people can effect for the benefit of Europe, for the benefit of the world at large, and for the honor of mankind. I say that the spirit of Bonaparte and the principles he cherishes must be extinguished, and that other principles shall prevail.
William Pitt,
you must come back. I am ready to serve under you in any capacity you may think useful.
How much that might have meant in the past, Charles.
It will mean something in the future. Pitt and Fox speaking on the same side.
Today has been worthwhile, if only to hear you say that.
The king will send for you.
You'll accept, of course.
Very well.
Boney is busy enough. Tents springing up like mushrooms.
Majesty is preparing to bathe. He's now in the machine, but will see you at once. Mr. Pitt and Mr. Dundas, sir.
Ah, urgency overcomes formality, eh? I'm just about to take the modest trip in the sea which my doctors advise, but it must wait. Well, Mr. Pitt?
The armies of Bonaparte are massing along the coast, especially about Boulogne and Calais.
The shipping is concentrating in all the ports from Ostend to Lorient.
Yes, one moment and I'm with you. Albert, my lad. Hasten, fellow, hasten. The country is being invaded. Well, Mr. Pitt?
We must take every possible step, sir.
Bonaparte is a rogue. Take your steps, sir. Take them. What are they?
The arming of the round bulk of the whole people of Britain. We must call for volunteers to defend every town and every village.
An excellent idea. Each man to guard his own home.
Exactly, sir. But, sir, it will cost money.
Oh.
We shall need every penny that can be raised.
Every citizen must give as much as he can afford.
Gentlemen, I can see it in your eyes.
I admit it, sir.
How much?
20,000 from your privy purse.
20,000 is footling. Let it be 50,000.
Your Majesty is very generous.
Proceed immediately, Mr. Pitt.
The orders are already drafted.
Issue them at once. If that man Bonaparte's troops dare to effect a landing, I shall certainly place myself at the head of my armed subjects and repel him.
It is now high tide, sir.
A special high tide, eh, gentlemen? It seems as though I should rest it. Mr. Pitt, I look to you to rally the spirit of our country. I'm heartily glad to see you back in the saddle again.
So under the threat of invasion, Britain awakes. All over the country, young men and old flock to join the Home Defensibles. The Loyal Londoners, the Bath Volunteers, the Highland Brigade. Old feuds are forgotten. Charles Fox drills as a private in the Chertsey Volunteers. While in Downing Street, the fingers of a sick man grasp all these threads in the growing web of Britain's defense. His lamp of life is already flickering, but he struggles on with the desperate energy of a man who's much to do and little time to do it in. Roused from sleep with a dispatch from the First Lord, then with a little bottle of cordial confection in his pocket, off to the house till 3 or 4 in the morning. Scarcely up next day, when rat-tat-tat 20 or 30 people, one after another, and wine, and wine. The horses walking before the door from 2 till sunset waiting for him. It was enough to kill a man. It was murder.
Once Admiral Villeneuve has disposed of the British fleet, the course is clear. My combined fleets appear suddenly off the coast of Boulogne, commanding the deserted channel and ready to carve a way for 120,000 men of my Army of England to plant the Imperial Eagle on the Tower of London.
Boney is bringing up more men.
Yes, sir.
Give the ready.
Signal, see.
To Admiralty, Charing Cross. Enemy activity increasing. Reported more troops have arrived. Calais.
There can be no doubt that Napoleon intends to combine the French and Spanish fleets at present at Cadiz to prepare the way for invasion. If you can crush them, these shores are safe for a generation. My lord, this country already owes you a great, great debt.
We shall do our best.
Permit me, my lord, to see you to your carriage.
Thanks.
Portsmouth to Admiralty, London. HMS Victory, Admiral Lord Nelson sailed this morning.
Give me command of the channel for 6 hours, and the business is settled.
The enemy are in sight, my lord. 10 miles to the east, heading southward. Make the signal to prepare for action. Yes, my lord.
I wonder if we'll hear anything tonight.
If only we could be reading about this instead of waiting for it.
Here's your supper, Mr. Billy, before you go to bed.
What is that?
Gruel.
Do you call that a supper?
Well, if you manage to keep even that down, it'll be an improvement. Here's your medicine. Drink that first.
Good health. You know, William, I allow myself only one hope. Live to see the prospect of victory. That's all I ask.
The whole of England waited for news. Till at last a frigate arrived off Plymouth. Partial firing continued until 4 p.m. when a victory having been reported to Admiral Lord Nelson, he died of his wounds.
Say this is the second attack in 4 days?
Yes.
You must allow no visitors whatsoever. Cancel all his appointments.
Won't like that, Sir Walter.
I don't doubt it.
I know how anxious he was to attend the dinner at the Guild Hall today.
That's out of the question. He's more than a sick man. I can't put it plainer than that. You know what the consequences would be as well as I do.
It is to this pilot, whose courage and foresight have been our salvation and indeed the salvation of the entire civilized world, that we pay tribute today. Mr. William Pitt.
My Lord Mayor, my lords, ladies and gentlemen,
I return you many thanks for the honor you have done me. But Europe is not to be saved by any single man. England has saved herself by her exertions, and will, as I trust, save Europe by her example.